right there. There
Got
we
it.
go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mayor Shane, this is it. This is it. Season finale.
Season finale.
So whatever you've got pent up right now, it's time to just blow it all out, right? Right.
Exactly. Rock the news world.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, well, your counterpart just up the highway in Stevens Point, Mayor Weasel, left us on a cliffhanger because
Oh,
they've
I missed it.
apparently got something that could drop next year. So you got to top that, is what we'll
Oh,
say.
they've got I think they have a project or something that they're working
Hmm.
on there. I thought I heard some rumblings about that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Boy,
they
if I
left.
if I
They
knew
left.
I could ruin the cliffhanger, but I don't.
Yeah, yeah. Mayor Weasel left us on a cliffhanger, so I we'll see
He's good
what
at
you've
that
got in
though.
store.
He's good at
But
that though. I could see him doing that.
it was great. If you haven't seen it yet, it was one of the best episodes of these that we've done. We can tell you that completely
Well, eventually he has to
objectively.
have one that's going to top ours. So
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, you're getting to the end of the year, of course, there in Wisconsin Rapids as well. You got the budget passed, everything else is in place, but of course, everything can't stay smooth for the whole time because
no.
then something would just probably be too wrong. Everything is too quiet at a time. But last week we found out, that you're losing some jobs in the community, although we don't exactly know the impact of what's going to happen yet with Kinoco announcing that they are going to close up the tube facility in Wisconsin Rapids. What do you know about that at this time? And what can you share as far as that?
Yeah, with Sunoco, it's I've only heard bits and pieces and just what officially has been put out. So their core and tube operation in Wisconsin Rapids, we have a mill and a core and tube operation, and this only affects the core and tube operation. They have announced that they're going to cease operating that aspect. I don't know what, because part of that process, they still need cores and tubes. So they are being produced somewhere else, or if it's going to be consolidated somewhere else. I have not heard, but there is going to be, unfortunately, some job losses in our community. And so right now, that's kind of the concern. I know on the workforce development, they are putting together, job fairs and kind of the rapid response teams, so to help those employees and secure new employment. But I think this is going to happen in the first quarter of next year.
Yeah, and it is from what they've told Department of Workforce Development, it's about 70 jobs that are going to be impacted. But if you end up looking at in the research that I did last week on this company, just because I didn't know much about them as well when the announcement came down, they do have locations all over Wisconsin. In fact, they have some outfit here in the Wausau area as well, in our business park or our business park on the west side of town. So it's not like these jobs might, go away completely. They may just be moved somewhere else within the company because a lot of them do have bumping rights.
Yeah, and so that's what we're kind of waiting to see. I have friends that work in the mill operation, and so our mill operation in town here has been a great partner, and we've had great communications with them, and hopefully they have future plans in our community, and so we're just kind of waiting and seeing. But the cores and tube operation was a surprise to us.
And additionally, of course, 70 jobs. There's probably about 70 jobs right now in Wisconsin Rapids. In fact, some in manufacturing, as you told me earlier, that probably could be snatched up pretty quick by somebody if it did come to that, right?
Absolutely. There's jobs out there, and obviously, this operation is very important in our community and to the people that have those jobs there. So hopefully, we'll see how this all ends up transpiring and seeing where everything is in a few months.
And
Hopefully, we have better news for you in a couple of months on it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But one of those groups was somebody that is new to the community, Metalco. You said they're expanding even as well. They've had some job openings there, so obviously that facility has been a big success story for the city.
Yeah, it's a great company. I just went through it a few months ago again, and yeah, it's an amazing operation there, and they hire a lot of employees and training, and they have incentives, and but it's not easy work. So they do have job turnover, and it can get kind of warm in their processes, but it's very interesting.
Hmm. I would just love even the, the kindergarten, elementary school, grade school tour that they get there, where they kind of, dumb everything down for you, for
Mhm.
lack of a better term. But just, yeah, just to see what goes on in there would be great.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's
So,
it's amazing because yeah, there's part of that process is that you know if you introduce water, it'll cause an explosion. So there's a lot of metallurgy that goes into
mhm.
this, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, indeed. And and that's right there in the backyard though, for the city. And as you mentioned, you've got several other openings across the city. So I think it's probably safe to say again, just like it is everywhere, if you want work in Wisconsin Rapids, you can certainly find it.
Yeah, but it goes to a greater discussion about mills in Wisconsin, the paper industry, and trying to kind of maybe hopefully find a way to settle in and settle down and kind of get back to a more of an even point. And over the next couple of years, hopefully we can find that. So because it always seems to be in a state of flux right now, and what papers are being produced and where, and what mills can be used for, and what mills don't have a use anymore, and some stability would be nice in the region.
Right, and that goes into, as you said, a larger point there with the Verso mill, which of course we're coming up on a couple of years now that's been closed up completely. What's the state of that property right now? Is it to the point where the city says we may need to bring in a wrecking ball and create something new for this area?
So yeah, Bill Rude still owns the mill and the mill property, and conversations I've had with them, they're open to possibilities. I saw, they're sealing up vents and making sure, trying to make it winter tight. But as the longer the machine sit, any mechanical person know that's not probably the healthiest thing for the mill. And you know, I guess as a mayor, you have to hope. You have to hope that something's going to happen. Obviously, the amount of millions involved over there are way beyond the city's capacity. But hopefully the state will help in conversations they're having and can find an owner yet.
But as it stands right now, there's nothing, no serious discussions that you've been able to have in the last few months, maybe since we last asked you about this.
No, most of those are private business discussions, and even the sale to Billerud's was not known to anybody. So those are all private boardroom discussions, and we are not part of those unless we want to come with a big pile of money and kind of make ourselves part of that
Mhm.
conversation. But they are having conversations, that I do know.
Gotcha. Again, we'll look forward to seeing, maybe something will happen in 2023 or down the road. We'll see what ends up happening with this. But it's certainly something that we want to be following because, like you said, it's very important for the region. One other thing that, kind of goes hand in hand with manufacturing, you've got a rail study going on in the city as well. That's right there on your homepage. Actually, just saw it a few minutes ago when I was clicking through. Give us an idea what that's about.
So we've always constantly seemed to have this love-hate relationship with trains in our community, and we don't have a bypass, an under and over. So a lot of times our crossing on our main intersection could be blocked and could be blocked for a long time. I know I've missed kids' sporting events because I did not plan properly for a train, and so the council, and they've done this over time, over years too, but I think they're taking a serious look, and they've decided to hire a consultant and come back with some actual plans on what we can do. Whether it be from train horns to blocked intersections to what we can do to try to help mitigate some of that. And I think for one thing, we always talk about spending money and doing referendums, but I think this is something that, you know, I could see the community hopefully have an opportunity to weigh in because we could find a solution. And, for me, I could handle paying a little bit more through a referendum to create an overpass or a bypass or something along those lines. But our issue also runs into is that the railroads follow the state highway, so it's really going to become a state issue since it is a state highway, and
Mhm.
so there's work ahead. But I think most of us in the community know that these train delays or loud horns throughout the night are or a thing of people are kind of tiring of. You know, we have a lot of priorities in our community, and some people might think that we have other priorities that are more important. But you know, I hear more about trains and train blockage than probably anything.
And as somebody that lives next to train tracks in Wausau, I can tell you those are real sometimes.
Absolutely.
If you end up not accounting for it, or if you occasionally have been woken up at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning because of a horn, I know that that is an issue we've actually talked about, and of course there's some federal regulations in there as well that can overrule local at
Oh yeah,
one time or another based on a certain set of circumstances. So it's a very complex issue
it is.
as well. But this sounds like you're just wanting to take the temperature in the city and see if there is something that can be done.
Yeah, you know, especially listen to residents and what their concerns are regarding the rail. And if they don't have concerns, they can say they don't have concerns. But you know, then to quantify that and maybe come up with some ideas from the consultant and see what it is. Usually, when it involves a railroad, whether it be creating intersections where they don't have to use their horns, usually involves a lot of money, and it's not a cheap thing to get that designation. And apparently, once you have that designation, the train engineer still has an opportunity to hit their horn if they want. It doesn't mean that they won't do it ever again. So we'll see what it comes about of the study, but I'm glad it's being done though, and I'll be curious to see what happens.
So the study is open now. How can
Right.
people take it, and when are you going to have any results?
So it's on our website, as you said, at wirapids.org, and that's probably the easiest place to access it. And just go online and fill it out, and it's not very long. I've done it, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, again, we'll follow up on that sometime
Yeah.
next year as
Yes,
well,
we can share
which
the results
is
next year, or at least talk about them.
yeah, which is not far off. One more thing before we let you go. This is something that we actually have here in Wausau. I didn't realize you did not have one of these in Wisconsin Rapids. Historic Preservation Commission. You're actually looking at creating one here in the next year as well.
Yeah, and I think the bulk of the reason of why that discussion took place is we do have historic homes in Wisconsin Rapids, and people want to restore them. So it opens up additional funding through the state, so they can help try to preserve and restore some of these buildings. And so we'll be putting together a commission, and that commission will. We're not. It's not a where we're going to force people into historic neighborhoods or making houses, you know, forcing people to have the designated historic homes. It's really about homeowners' choice and allowing them to make this choice, but also helping support them if they want to restore their homes. So we will be looking for Rapids residents who want to be on this commission.
And this is going to be a commission that, at least if it's run the same way that it is here in Wausau, is some of their recommendations are just that, recommendations.
Yeah.
They won't have any sort of like veto authority or anything like that. But what it can do is help you get historic resignation or historic recognition, I should say, at a higher level as well, be that from the
Yep.
state or the National
Or the
Registry of
national, yeah.
Historic
Because you have
Places.
to have a local to be able to get to the state and national. And so we've had homeowners interested, and so this will help support them do that. But then it'll also, you know, not make people that don't want to be a part of it, because that was important with the council. They didn't want people forced into historic neighborhoods or into having that designation.
Yes, because if you do have plans, sometimes that can become expensive if you want to try to account for that historic nature while still making some sort of an upgrade to your property, right?
That's correct. Yeah, and so we don't want that forced on anybody, nor would I support that either.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Mayor Shane, just one more thing then before we let you go. Go ahead, give us the recap of 2022 in Wisconsin Rapids. Is it a successful year?
Well, yeah, you know, I think it is successful. It was a tough year, but it wasn't as tough as last year and the year before. So, you know, I think we're all kind of pointing in the right direction, and I think everybody agrees that the workforce is tough out there. It's tough finding. The businesses are having a hard time finding employees, and so hopefully, as years go on, this will change, and yeah, I think it can only look up from here, you know, and hopefully,
Mhm.
things will settle down in the state and national politics, and we can kind of go forward together and try to make something a little better.
Try to get something done. Yes, fingers crossed. Fingers
Fingers
crossed.
crossed.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, Mayor Shane, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you and your staff as well. We always appreciate the time, and we'll look forward to chatting again in 2023.
Yep. Merry Christmas, Mike. Thank you.